I'm Georgia and this is The Sound of Georgia. So The Sound of Music turned 55 on Monday. And in every other instance with something like that, today would be a Today in Julie Andrews history video. But because I know so much more about Sound of Music and talk about it so much more than any other Julie thing, we're not doing that because it would have taken forever for me to put together and would have been way too long. So instead, today I'm going to be giving you some of my Sound of Music hot takes. So for those who don't know, a hot take is basically an unpopular and or controversial opinion. And yes, I have some of those about Sound of Music. Most of these hot takes are movie specific, or at least fit better with the film than the musical, but there's bits of both of them within all of these. And before we go any further, I will say that a lot of these are heavily influenced by the Sound of Music fandom, particularly the Sound of Music fanfiction fandom, which is sadly mostly dead now. Yes, that was a Princess Bride reference, I guess. No, it wasn't planned. That's just what I wrote in my notes and I decided to tag that on the end, because I love Princess Bride. So getting back to Sound of Music, I have 10 hot takes. Let's get started. Hot take number 1. Elsa is awesome. You know I think she's awesome because I called her Elsa and not the Baroness. I actually made a whole video defending her because I think she is really cool, especially in the musical. I love her in the film, but as far as her character goes, it's much better in the musical. Obviously she clearly doesn't like children and being in the country, and her political leanings are, well, problematic as far as we see in the musical. But all that means is she's not the right person for Georg. That doesn't make her evil. I personally think she never intended to scare Maria away. She looks shocked when Maria starts packing, and she has no reason to fake that. Mostly I think she's awesome because she's very rarely without Max, especially in fanfiction, and those two play off each other so perfectly. That's why they're better in the musical. Speaking of people who are better in the musical, hot take number 2. Frau Schmidt is better in the musical. She has 2 scenes in the movie. 2 tiny scenes. And one of those scenes was actually the first scene that was filmed. I feel so bad for Norma Barton. She would have had to have been there on day 1 and then just wait around for, I guess, the majority of filming time. She could have been a really interesting character, I think. But because we see so little of her in the movie, that's kind of hard. Because we see more of her in the musical, I think that kind of automatically makes the situation better. Hot take number 3. The dialogue in Maria's speech during the argument is better in the musical than in the film. I want to specify that I mean the dialogue, because Julie absolutely nails that scene. But I like what she says in the musical a little better than what she says in the film, just because of what it says about the kids. In the musical, when she's talking to Georg about their children, she says, Louisa wants to have a good time, you've just got to let her have a good time. And then that Marta's the one she doesn't know about yet. In the movie, it's Louisa that she doesn't know about yet, and the little ones just want to be loved. Only Gretel gets that in the musical. In the musical, each child is mentioned separately. In the film, Marta and Gretel are lumped together. And this kind of leads me into hot take number 4. The children's personalities are pretty basic. In fact, if you want to know their personalities, just listen to her during the argument. What she tells Georg is basically explaining their characters. Liesel's not a child anymore, Friedrich wants to be a man, Louisa wants to have a good time. Kurt is sensitive and pretends he's tough. Brigitte notices everything, Marta's shy, and Gretel's little. Actually, I think Gretel's pretty stubborn. But that's because of Kimmy's portrayal, and therefore film specific and not really part of her character. It's the portrayal. And if you really get down to it, I think that's all each child has to them. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I feel like they function much more as one 7-part character rather than 7 individual characters. I think that is partly because of how the way the story is set up and goes, but their characters aren't super complex. And this one leads me into hot take number 5. The only thing that makes Liesl a bigger character than the other children is because she has a song. I think that's the only reason she's a bigger character. Because the character of the teenager experiencing first love is pretty generic, pretty common. And this connects to my next hot take as well. 16 going on 17 is overrated. Overrated and, in my opinion, kind of dull. I haven't watched the movie this year, and in pretty much every other year I would have already watched it 3 times. I only watched it twice last year, but from 2018 going all the way back to, I don't know, 2013 probably? Maybe even earlier. I would watch it once a month. So I've seen it so many times that I feel like I almost watch it on fast forward. I've watched it so many times that it goes by this quickly. Except for 16 going on 17. For me, 16 going on 17 drags. And by drags I really mean I feel like I'm watching it on speed 16 rather than speed 32. Which is kind of the way I feel about the rest of the film. If I was ever going to skip over a scene, it would be that one. I was never really interested in Liesl. I always wanted to be Maria. I think the time I had the most interest in Liesl was a very small window around my 16th birthday. Beyond that, like all the other kids, she was just kind of there. And that's very much the case in fanfiction. I said in my video a few weeks back where I was talking about Sound of Music fanfiction that the majority of the writers are middle-aged women, and because of that their children are just there most of the time. The focus is always on Maria and Georg. That was kind of a bit of a tangent, but yes, I think 16 going on 17 is overrated. Hot take number 7. The kids running to Maria for comfort during the thunderstorm doesn't actually make a whole lot of sense. It makes a little bit more sense in the show. In the show, Do-Re-Mi takes place earlier than it does in the film, so by the time the thunderstorm rolls around, the children have already kind of bonded with Maria. But obviously that's not the case in the film. It makes sense for Liesl to go in there because she's just looking for a place to hide. But other than that, all we've really got in the film is Gretel's one line about how I like you. So I guess it kind of makes sense for Gretel to run to her, but the rest of them following, yeah. It really doesn't make all that much sense to me. It works perfectly well. It doesn't make absolutely no sense, but when you dissect it like my fanfiction brain is prone to doing, yeah, it doesn't quite add up perfectly. So my 8th hot take is that Sister Berta is awesome. This one's probably more fanfiction influenced than any of the others here, because kind of like the children, the nuns have very, very basic personalities. The Reverend Mother's the wise one, Sister Margareta is the kind one, and Sister Berta is the stern one. As for the others, they've got one single scene and we never see them again. But hey, at least there's a movie where we get to see Marnie Nixon's face. Most of her stuff was just dubbing everybody who couldn't sing back then, like Audrey, and Natalie Wood, and Deborah Kerr. And I think they probably should have gotten her to dub Vanessa Redgrave for Camelot. If she had, The Lusty Month of May and Take Me to the Fair might have been a bit better. I know, big tangent. Back to Sister Berta. Very, very fanfiction influenced, but the look she gives the Nazis when she's opening the gate just kind of says it all. That, and of course when she and Sister Margareta pull apart the car and sabotage the Nazis. Hot take number 9. The sing-along is more irritating than fun, because you don't just sing along. There's a whole bunch of interactions. And some of them can be really annoying, honestly. Like you're supposed to hiss whenever Elsa's on screen. Given that my first hot take was how awesome Elsa is, yeah, I hated the fact that you were supposed to do that. I didn't. I didn't hiss at her, and I would never dream of hissing at her. It's more that you do those sort of things than it is for a specific character. That's right, every time the Nazis are on screen you're supposed to boo, and every time Rolf's on screen you're supposed to woof, because, I don't know, Rolf, woof, really original. It can kind of get in the way of enjoying the film a little bit. And they make you pop party poppers when Maria and Georg first kiss. Yes, I can see why they do that, but I will have you know that Julie Andrews doesn't like fireworks. Just like me. Yeah, no, I don't like fireworks. They're too loud. But the most annoying thing was at the end. At the end during the festival when the winners are announced and the 3rd place winner comes up and bows 16 times. Yes, you can actually count. She bows 16 times. When you're watching it at the sing-along, when that happens, you're supposed to get up and bow 16 times. Or at least more than once. So you've got people moving all around you as you're trying to watch the movie. Done it once, I don't think I'll ever do it again. Finally, My 10th Sound of Music hot take is it's actually pretty faithful to the source material. I did a video a little while back where I compared Sound of Music and Hamilton to try and work out which was more historically accurate. And I said both of them were. Hamilton's definitely closer to history, but I found Sound of Music closer to its source material than Hamilton was to its. You can watch that video to see me go more in depth, but it seems like every other time Sound of Music is mentioned, its historical inaccuracies are brought up. Nobody really mentions the similarities. And I said it in the other video, I don't think people just forget. I almost feel like people like to forget the things that were accurate about it. And so that's everything I've got for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed listening to my unpopular Sound of Music opinions. Let me know if you agree with me on any of these things, and do you have any Sound of Music hot takes of your own? Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my video next week. So long for a while!